Shalom, I'm Ezra Solomon, and today I'm going to destroy the lie that's keeping you weak. You're walking around acting like you lack strength when Jewish wisdom teaches you carry divine power within. The problem isn't what you're missing, it's that you're waiting to feel strong before acting strong. Let me show you the ancient practice that changes everything. Let me be direct with you. The biggest lie you tell yourself is this: I'm just not strong enough. I'm not naturally disciplined. I don't have what it takes. You've convinced yourself that strength is something you either have or don't have, like eye color or height. And because you've decided you don't have it, you act weak. You give in to comfort. You break promises to yourself. You choose the easy path. And every time you do this, you tell yourself it's because you lack something essential. I'm not built that way. I don't have that kind of willpower. Some people are just stronger than me. This is the comfortable lie. It feels good because it removes responsibility. If you're just naturally weak, then failure isn't your fault. It's just who you are, right? Wrong. This belief is killing your potential, and I'm going to show you exactly why from both ancient Jewish wisdom and modern psychology. Psychologists call what you're experiencing learned helplessness, the condition where you've been conditioned to believe you're powerless, so you stop trying. You act as if you're weak, and therefore you become weak. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But here's what the Talmud teaches and what modern psychology confirms. You're not weak. You're living from weakness. There's a massive difference. In Torah, we're taught that every human being is created B'Tselem Elohim, in the divine image. This isn't poetic language. This is fundamental truth about your nature. You carry within you a spark of the divine. You possess Gevura, inner strength, discipline, the capacity to overcome resistance. This strength isn't something you need to acquire from outside yourself. It's not something you develop after years of therapy or find at the bottom of a self-help book. It's already there. It's been there since creation. The problem is you've been trained by modern culture to ignore it, to wait for it to arrive, to seek external permission to access it. Jewish wisdom doesn't tell you to find yourself. It tells you to build yourself. And you build yourself through action, not through waiting for the perfect feeling. So when you say, I'm not strong enough, what you're really saying is, I haven't acted from my strength yet. And that's a choice you're making every single day. Today, we're changing that choice. Let me teach you one of the most revolutionary principles in all of Jewish wisdom. It comes from the moment at Mount Sinai when God offered the Torah to the Israelites. You know what they said? Nase v'nishma. In English, this means, we will do, and then we will understand. Read that again. We will do, and then we will understand. Not, let us understand first, then we'll decide if we want to do it. Not, help us feel ready, then we'll act. They committed to action before understanding. They committed to doing before feeling prepared. This is the complete opposite of how modern culture teaches you to live. Modern psychology says you need to understand your feelings, process your trauma, feel motivated, feel confident, feel ready, and then you can act. Jewish wisdom says that's backwards. You don't wait to feel strong before you act strong. You act strong and the feeling follows. You don't wait to feel disciplined before you practice discipline. You practice discipline and the character is forged through the action. This is the ancient practice of acting as if. And before you dismiss this as fake it till you make it nonsense, let me explain what's actually happening here psychologically and spiritually. When you act as if you possess divine strength, you're not pretending, you're not lying to yourself, you're activating what's already within you. Remember B'Tselem Elohim, you're created in the divine image. That gevura, that inner strength, that's your birthright. but it's dormant until you exercise it. Here's what neuroscience has discovered that the ancient rabbis already knew. Action precedes emotion. Behavior shapes identity. Your brain doesn't wait until you feel like a disciplined person to wire itself for discipline. Your brain wires itself based on what you repeatedly do. When you act from strength, even when you don't feel it, you create neural pathways that make strength more accessible next time. The more you act as if you're someone with Gevurah, the more your brain reorganizes around that identity. You're not faking it, you're forging it. Think of Gevurah like a muscle. It doesn't grow from thinking about exercise. It doesn't grow from feeling motivated to lift weights. It grows from the actual resistance, the actual work, the actual stress placed on it. Your inner strength works exactly the same way. Act from it, and it grows. Wait to feel it first, and it atrophies. Let me tell you about David. He was 34 when he came to me, and he was trapped in what I call the perpetual preparation cycle. Every Sunday night, he'd sit down with his journal and write out his goals for the week. He was going to wake up at 5:30 a.m. He was going to exercise. He was going to work on his business for 2 hours before his day job. He was going to eat clean. He was going to be disciplined. Monday morning would come, and by 6:15 a.m., he'd already failed. The alarm would go off at 5:30, and he'd lie there thinking, I just don't feel strong enough today. I didn't sleep well. I'll start tomorrow when I'm more ready. By Monday afternoon, he'd be eating junk food at his desk, telling himself, I'll start fresh next week. I need to get my mind right first. I need to fix my confidence. Then I'll have the strength to take action. This pattern had continued for 3 years. 3 years of Sunday night plans and Monday morning failures. 3 years of waiting to feel ready. 3 years of telling himself, I'm just not naturally disciplined. I don't have it in me. When David came to me, he said, Ezra, I know what I need to do. I just can't seem to make myself do it. I think I need to work on my mindset first, build up my confidence, and then I'll be able to follow through. I looked at him and said, David, that's exactly backwards. You're waiting for strength to arrive before you act. Jewish wisdom teaches the opposite. You act and then the strength shows up. I taught him about Naaseh v'nishma. I explained that his ancestors at Mount Sinai didn't say, let us feel ready first. They committed to action before understanding, before feeling prepared. But Ezra, that feels inauthentic. I'd be pretending to be someone I'm not. I'd be acting like I have discipline when I don't actually have it. No, I told him. You'd be acting from the Gevurah that's already within you before your emotions have caught up to the truth. You're not pretending to be someone else. You're activating who you actually are at your core, underneath all the comfortable excuses. He wasn't convinced yet, but he was desperate enough to try. I gave David a simple challenge. For 1 week, just 7 days, act as if you already possess the discipline and strength you claim you want. Don't wait to feel it, just act from it. He agreed reluctantly. That first week was brutal for him. Monday morning, 5:30 a.m., the alarm went off. Every fiber of his being wanted to hit snooze. The old voice in his head said, You don't feel ready. Wait until tomorrow. But instead of listening to that voice, he asked himself a different question. What would someone with divine strength do right now? The answer was obvious. Someone with Gevurah would get up. So he got up before he felt like it. He told me later that every single action that week felt forced. The workout felt like acting. Saying no to the junk food felt like pretending. Working on his business felt inauthentic. But he maintained it anyway because he'd committed to the practice. By week 2, something started shifting. The actions were still hard, but they felt slightly less foreign. He started thinking of himself differently, not as someone trying to be disciplined, but as someone who does hard things. Month 2, the momentum built. He wasn't relying on motivation anymore. He'd wake up at 5:30, not because he felt like it, but because that's what he did. It became part of his identity, not a daily negotiation with his emotions. By month 6, David sent me a message I'll never forget. Ezra, I finally understand what you meant about Gevura. I wasn't waiting to feel strong. I was waiting for permission to quit. When I acted as if the strength was already there, it showed up. Not because it arrived from somewhere else, but because I stopped ignoring what was already inside me. Here's what transformed for David. His circumstances didn't change. He still had the same demanding job. He still had the same early wake-up time. He still faced the same temptations and challenges. But his response to those circumstances completely transformed because he activated the divine strength within him through action, not through waiting for the perfect emotional state. Same life, same challenges, different person, because he stopped acting from his feelings and started acting from his principles. He stopped waiting to feel like someone with Gevura and started being someone with Gevura through disciplined action. That's the power of acting as if. Now let me give you the exact framework David used, and the same framework I teach to everyone who wants to activate their inner strength. I call these the 4 pillars of acting as if. Write these down. Pillar 1, morning declaration of Bitachon. Bitachon means trust, inner security. Before you do anything else tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before you scroll, before you let the world tell you who to be, you make a declaration aloud, not in your head, aloud. Today I act as someone with divine strength within me. Today I act as someone who keeps their word to themselves. Say it even if you don't believe it yet. Especially if you don't believe it, you're setting the frame for the entire day. You're declaring your identity before your emotions wake up and start negotiating. Pillar 2, the 3-second rule. Here's the psychological truth. You have approximately 3 seconds between the moment discipline is required and the moment your emotions hijack the decision. 3 seconds, that's your window. The alarm goes off. 3 seconds to get up before you start negotiating. You face the choice between the healthy food and the junk. 3 seconds to decide before emotion takes over. You know you should work on your business but feel resistance. 3 seconds to open the laptop before you talk yourself out of it. Feel the resistance. Acknowledge it. Then act anyway, within 3 seconds. Don't wait for the feeling to change. Act as if you're someone who does hard things immediately. Pillar 3. Identity-based decision-making. Every choice point during your day, ask one question. What would someone with Gevura do right now? Not, what do I feel like doing? Not, what's easiest? What would the strong version of me, the version living from divine strength, do in this moment? Then do that thing, immediately. This isn't about willpower. Willpower runs out. This is about identity activation. You're not fighting yourself. You're aligning with who you truly are beneath the comfortable excuses. Pillar 4. Evening. Cheshbon Hanefesh. Cheshbon Hanefesh means accounting of the soul. Before you sleep, review your day. Write down 3 specific moments where you acted from strength instead of waiting for strength to arrive. 3 moments where you applied the practice. This builds evidence. Your brain needs proof that you're changing. Give it proof through documented action. I know what you're thinking right now. I've heard this objection 1,000 times. Ezra, this sounds fake. I'm supposed to be authentic, not pretend to be someone I'm not. If I don't feel confident, isn't it dishonest to act confident? Isn't this just lying to myself? Let me address this directly, because this objection is exactly what keeps people trapped in weakness. First, I understand why you feel this way. Modern culture has told you that authenticity means being true to your current feelings. Be yourself. Honor your emotions. Don't fake it. You've been taught that if you don't feel something, acting as if you do is inauthentic. But here's the hard truth that modern self-help won't tell you. Your current self is the product of your past actions. If those actions have been weak, if those actions have been driven by comfort seeking and excuse making, then your current self is weak. And being authentic to that weakness isn't noble, it's just comfortable stagnation. Let me show you what Torah teaches about this. You're not meant to stay who you currently are. You're meant to become who you're created to be. That divine image, that Batselem Elohim, that's not describing your current state. That's describing your potential state, your true nature, underneath all the conditioning and comfortable habits. Acting as if you have Gevurah isn't pretending to be someone else. It's acting from your highest self before your lower self has caught up. It's not fake. It's aspirational action that creates real transformation. The Musar tradition, the Jewish approach to character development, has understood this for centuries. You don't change your character by changing your feelings first. Feelings are notoriously unreliable. You change your character by changing your actions, and feelings follow the behavioral evidence. Your Yetzer Hara, your evil inclination, that voice of comfort and excuse, wants you to wait for perfect feelings before you act. Wait until you feel motivated. Wait until you feel confident. Wait until you feel strong. That voice keeps you paralyzed. Your Yetzer Hatov, your good inclination, says act now from principle, regardless of feeling. Build the character through action. Forge the strength through resistance. So no, this isn't inauthentic. Authenticity to weakness is just rationalized laziness. True authenticity is becoming who you're meant to be, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. Let me tell you about Rebecca. She was 28, working in marketing and completely paralyzed by self-doubt. In meetings, she'd shrink. She'd apologize before sharing ideas. Sorry, this might be stupid, but she'd defer to everyone else. She'd go home kicking herself for not speaking up, for not advocating for her work, for letting others take credit. She came to me saying, Ezra, I'm just not a confident person. That's not who I am. Some people are naturally assertive. I'm not built that way. I challenged her immediately. That's not who you are. That's who you've been. But is that who you want to be? Because if the answer is no, you need to start acting as if confidence already lives within you. She looked at me like I was crazy. But I don't feel confident. Won't people see through it? Won't they know I'm faking? Rebecca, I said, people don't respond to your internal feelings. They respond to your external actions. If you act with confidence, people experience you as confident. Your feelings are completely irrelevant to their perception and to your results. I gave her a 30-day practice. Act as if you're someone who trusts their own judgment. In meetings, speak up as if your input matters, because it does. Make decisions as if you're capable, because you are. Walk into rooms as if you belong there, because you do. Do this even when you don't feel it, especially when you don't feel it. The first week was torture for her. She felt like an imposter every single time she spoke up without apologizing first. Every time she stated an opinion directly instead of hedging. Every time she walked with her shoulders back instead of making herself small. But she maintained the practice. Week 3, something happened. Her boss pulled her aside after a meeting and said, Rebecca, I don't know what's changed, but I've noticed a real shift in you lately. You seem more assured, more decisive. It's impressive. I'm putting you on the leadership track. Rebecca told me later, Ezra, that was the moment I understood. I hadn't felt any different internally. I still had the same doubts, but my actions had created external validation that started to shift my internal reality. 6 months later, she got promoted. But more importantly, she understood Gevura. The strength was always there. She just had to act from it before she felt it. Let me bring this home for you. You're not weak. You've never been weak. You're created Batselem Elohim in the divine image. You possess Gevura, inner strength, discipline, the capacity to overcome any resistance you face. The problem is you've been waiting to feel that strength before you act from it. And that waiting has kept you trapped in a cycle of weakness and excuse making for years, maybe decades. Today, that changes. Not tomorrow, not Monday, today. Here are your 3 immediate actions starting tomorrow morning. Action 1, Morning Identity Declaration. Tomorrow, before you do anything else, stand in front of your mirror and say aloud, "Today, I act as if divine strength lives within me. Today, I act as someone who keeps their word to themselves." Write this on your mirror if you need to. Say it even if, especially if you don't believe it yet. This is bitachon. This is trust. This sets your identity for the day. Action 2. Choose your discipline battlefield. Right now, pick one area where you've been living from weakness. Just one. Your morning routine, your eating, your work discipline, your phone usage. For the next 30 days, you're going to act as if you're someone with complete mastery in that area. Every single decision point, ask, what would someone with Gevura do right now? Then do it immediately. 3-second rule. Before emotion hijacks the decision. Action 3. Evening evidence collection. Every night before you sleep, write down 3 specific moments from that day where you acted from strength instead of waiting for strength to arrive. 3 pieces of behavioral evidence. This is Cheshbon Hanefesh, accounting of the soul. You're building the proof that rewires your identity. Now I want you to do something. Go to the comments right now and tell me, what's the one area where you've been waiting to feel ready instead of just acting? What's your discipline battlefield for the next 30 days? Your commitment below creates accountability. I'm challenging you to 30 consecutive days of this practice. No breaks. No, I'll start Monday. You won't feel transformed on day 1 or day 7 or even day 15, but by day 30, you'll have undeniable proof that you're not who you thought you were. You're stronger. If this confronted something you needed to hear, subscribe. Next week, I'm teaching Yetzer Hara versus Yetzer Hatov, the daily war for your character. Stop waiting for divine strength to descend on you. It's already inside you. Act from it today. Shalom.